Hello, everybody. If you want to read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 693, Blinding Lights on the UK Roads. Intermediate. Tom was driving home from work on a dark winter evening. The sky was black and the road was wet from rain. He looked carefully ahead, but suddenly a bright white light flashed into his eyes. An oncoming car with LED headlamps passed him, and Tom blinked quickly. He felt a little scared because he could not see the road for a moment. He wasn't the only one who felt this way. Many drivers complained that modern headlights were too bright. LED headlamps were now very common in new cars, and they were designed to be strong and energy efficient. But for drivers coming the other way, they could feel like a camera flashed directly into the face. One day, Tom listened to the radio while driving. The news reporter said that the government was going to investigate the problem. They wanted to make sure that headlights were bright enough to help drivers, but not so bright that they made other drivers unsafe. They planned to look at the design of cars and how the lights were angled on the road. Tom thought this was good news. He remembered older cars with softer yellow lights. They were not as strong, but they didn't hurt the eyes. He wondered if car designers forgot how important comfort was on the roads at night. A few months later, a new rule was announced. Car companies had to make sure their lights did not dazzle drivers. They had to test the angle and strength more carefully. Some workshops even offered free checks to adjust lights on older cars. Tom still saw some bright lights on the road, but slowly he noticed an improvement. He felt safer and less stressed when driving home after work. The change gave him hope. If people spoke up, even a small problem could lead to a big difference. In the end, drivers, car companies, and the government worked together to make night driving safer for everyone. Vocabulary notes. Dazzle, meaning when a bright light makes it difficult to see for a short time. Example, too bright that they made other drivers unsafe. New example, the sun dazzled me when I walked outside. Similar words, blind, temporarily, glare, shine. Investigate, meaning to look into a problem carefully to find out the facts. Example, the government was going to investigate the problem. New example, the police will investigate the accident to understand what happened. Similar words, examine, study, check, explore. Angle, meaning the direction or position of something, especially how it is pointed. Example, they had to test the angle and strength more carefully. New example, the angle of the camera was wrong, so the photos looked strange. Similar words, position, direction, tilt. Dazzling, bright, meaning very strong or intense light that can hurt your eyes. Example, he could not see the road for a moment because of the bright lights. New example, the stage lights were dazzling during the concert. Similar words, brilliant, intense, glaring. Announced, meaning to officially tell people about something important. Example, a new rule was announced. New example, the company announced that it would open a new shop in London. Similar words, declared, reported, stated. Story written by ChatGPT AI. Image created by ChatGPT AI. To read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, Drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
Okay, so if you're driving at night, particularly in the UK, you've almost certainly experienced it. That sudden blinding moment. An oncoming car, headlights just wipe out your vision completely.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. And, for a lot of drivers, it feels genuinely scary.
Right. So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that kind of universal annoyance, the dazzle from modern car lights, how it became such a big issue on UK roads and, well, how it was eventually addressed, it seems they tracked it from loads of complaints right down to a very specific fix.
Yeah, and the story really starts with one driver's experience, this guy, Tom.
Okay.
He described driving on a typically miserable British evening, dark, wet winter.
Mm-hmm.
And this oncoming car had these really bright white LED headlamps. He said it felt exactly like a camera flash going off right in his eyes.
Wow, yeah, that sudden blindness, that's the core of it, isn't it? That's the dazzle they talk about.
Exactly. That temporary inability to see is a massive safety concern.
So initially, people just thought, well, these new LED lights are just too powerful, right? I mean, they are everywhere now. They're super energy efficient.
Right. That was the common assumption. And drivers were complaining like mad, saying the sheer brightness was making things unsafe for anyone coming the other way.
But the interesting thing here, based on the source, is whether it was just the brightness. Did the government investigation find something else? Or was it maybe just, a way to placate people without actually dimming the lights?
Well, this is where it gets quite interesting. The investigation didn't just focus on sort of the raw power, the lumens.
Okay.
They realized pretty quickly it wasn't just brightness. It was a combination of factors. Things like vehicle height, all the SUVs on the road now.
Right.
And also the way LEDs actually work. They're not like old halogen bulbs. LEDs produce this very, very focused beam.
Sharper light.
Yeah, a really intense beam with a very sharp cutoff line at the top. And the problem is, if that cutoff line is aimed even slightly too high, maybe the car's loaded up or it wasn't set perfectly at the factory.
Then that focused beam hits oncoming drivers right in the face.
Exactly. The dazzle effect gets amplified massively compared to the more diffuse light from older bulbs.
Okay, so the government steps in. They announce they're going to investigate the problem. I kind of find that balance right. Lights need to be bright enough for the driver using them,
Mm-hmm. You need to see the road.
but not blinding for everyone else. So
Yeah.
their focus shifted. Not just power, but the design and, crucially, how the lights were angled, the vertical trajectory.
Precisely. It became about the angle. This focused investigation led directly to official action. A new rule was announced.
Okay, what did it say?
Basically, car companies were mandated. They had to make sure their new car lights didn't dazzle. This meant much stricter testing during manufacturing.
Focusing on that vertical aim standard you mentioned?
Yeah, making absolutely sure that sharp cutoff point was aimed correctly, aimed down, before the car even left the factory, controlling it much more tightly.
And it wasn't just new cars, which is important. The source mentioned workshops started offering free checks, too.
That's right, to adjust the alignment on older cars already on the road. So it was a system-wide effort trying to get the beam trajectory right across, millions of vehicles. We're talking tiny adjustments, millimeters of change in aim.
And did it work? What about Tom, the driver from the start?
Well, according to the source, yes. He apparently noticed a gradual improvement over time, fewer of those camera flash moments.
So he felt safer, less stressed driving at night.
That's the idea. It suggests that this cooperative effort, drivers complaining, manufacturers adjusting, regulators focusing on this very specific technical detail, the alignment, it actually led to a noticeable improvement in road safety.
So you go from loads of people feeling, frankly, scared and blinded on the road
Yeah, that individual frustration multiplied many times over.
to a real systemic change, all based on getting this one engineering detail, the angle of the beam, right?
It really highlights something, doesn't it? We push for technological advances like super efficient LEDs, which are great in many ways. But then sometimes that progress needs a quick, maybe quite subtle regulatory tweak, like focusing intensely on the vertical aim of a headlight to make sure it actually works well for, human beings and their safety.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other small engineering choices, things we don't even think about, are quietly affecting our daily sense of safety or comfort? Something to think about next time you're out driving.